As you heard today, we're going to discuss in detail the issues or what I will call the opportunities existing back in Ghana. I'm going to set the scene, and then I will introduce a panel. Then I'll ask some questions, and then, as you know, I like from yesterday, I like this to be very, very interactive, especially after lunch. The way I will try and classify this is, I would say 2001. Most of you probably were aware, this is during the Kufuor, former president's time, Kufuor's time. There were a lot of people that went back to Ghana, including my own friends that all went back to Ghana with the promise and hope. And some of them stayed, some of them decided to come back. And before coming to this summit from the US, one question I asked him is for some of those who went back, which is, why did you come back to the US or the UK? And then the one thing they all said was the doomsday. And most of you know about the doomsday, which is, for those of you who are not aware, is an intermittent power cuts in Ghana, which clearly has gone away. And so we had an era where people went back to Ghana, people came back, and now we're seeing a lot more people going back to Ghana from a diaspora, and a lot more willing to invest. To the extent that I have one friend who has literally taken 2 years off from his own company and decided to spend time in Ghana and investing in companies from agriculture to telecoms and so forth. So this is an individual who is based in the US and never ever thought that he will actually take a risk in Ghana, and he's doing that. So to that, you can see that there is more of a willingness to go to Ghana, but I'm sure there are some challenges and opportunities that we need to explore further. So to help me explore this further, I'm going to introduce my panel. Nadia Adongo Musa, I don't think needs any introduction. She literally just spoke. Deputy Director, Diaspora Affairs of the Office of the President. Alex Zade, I think most of you have also heard him speak, who is a board member for GIPC. My good friend, Roland Akosa, he's also based in the US. He's co-founder of NO International, which I will get him to explain further. But actually, that's just his day job. He has another job, which him and I also are on the board, which is in his evening time, he gives back to Ghana a lot. So him and I are on the board of Focus Hospital, which is a non-profit organization doing great things for orthopedic. We're both on the board. And part of the commitment on the board is a minimum amount that you have to contribute, both financially and effort. He does that, and he's been doing that for a long time, and I'm following his footsteps. So a very distinguished gentleman who spends time in Ghana as well, so he can share his views. And last but not least, we have Frederick Menu, who is a business liaison manager for Group Indu, UK, a fellow Absunian, studied in Cape Coast as well, and he assures me is a great motorbiker. So we're going to find out more about your motorbikes and so forth as well. So these are my distinguished panel, but I'm going to start straight away into asking the questions. And first question is to Nadia. I think you talked a lot around the fact that there is definitely opportunities in Ghana. We need to come back. Look, what I want to talk about is I have 20,000 right now. I want to invest in Ghana. How should I go about it?
You have 20,000. Yeah. You come into the Diaspora Affairs office, and blankly you don't know what to do with your 20,000.
Correct.
I pick a phone, I call GIPC. I tell Yofi, I have this gentleman who has come in with 20,000 and wants to invest in Ghana. Yofi then tells us, these are the areas of opportunities for you, and with your 20,000, this is where I think you'll be able to do well. And that will be our first step.
Okay.
But before then, we have to make sure that you've registered your business first, to make sure that that business that you are coming to do in Ghana is also a Ghana business, not coming to find something to take back.
Okay. Frederick, Group Indum, can you tell me what would you do with the same 20,000?
20,000.
And first of all, can you just talk a little bit about your company, what you do, and how you take that forward?
Okay. So I represent Group Indum, which is a conglomerate of over 50 companies. We have investment in the US, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, and Togo. So in the UK, we've set up a liaison office that interfaces Ghanaians in the diaspora with their loved ones in Ghana as far as financial related matters are concerned. So straight to your question, for Group Indum, we assist Ghanaians generally as far as finance or investment is concerned. So for most people who want to open bank accounts in Ghana, so with this 20,000, the standard transaction will be that the person will approach us, we will assist them to open a bank account in Ghana, invest the money in that bank account. Then we also have access to companies that invest the funds in different investment vehicles. So for example, if someone wanted to buy shares on the Ghana Stock Exchange or invest their money in mutual funds, we do have companies that are represented in these industries, and we provide them with that information, help them to make that investment. Now the beauty of our activities here is that you can actually deposit, do all these transactions on your mobile phone. So we have an application that links your bank account to your phone, and you can buy treasury bill just from your mobile phone, or if you wanted to buy shares or any other fixed income securities, you can actually use your mobile phone to do it. Now this 20,000, someone might also want to invest it in pensions. So for the non-voluntary tier 3 contributions, we have companies in Ghana that are highly regulated by the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, where Ghanaians who live in the diaspora can actually purchase pension, a private pension, whilst here in the diaspora. Others might also want to probably invest in buy insurance for their loved ones in Ghana. We do have such products where people can buy insurance whilst they are here and cover their mother, father, all family relations, up to 10 people on one policy, so that in the event that there's any issue with debt back home, then they can fall on those sort of investments. So we have a bouquet of financial products, and fortunately, we do have a liaison office where people can directly contact us, and we provide them with the information to help them with their investment.
Thank you very much. So Roland, let's turn to you. Clearly you run a business, and I know you live in the US, you spend time in Ghana. So can you just give me a sense about your business and why you've decided to invest pretty much most of your energy back in Ghana? A country that some people may think the data doesn't exist, there's a lack of trust. So why do you feel like you can invest in Ghana and actually take more risk on the ground?
Thank you. Actually, I'm a Ghanaian, so naturally, investing in Ghana is a reflex action. But I had a rare opportunity to travel abroad as soon as I left college. And I was representing the entire continent of Africa and Middle East in Brussels in an organization called ISEC, which helped students develop management skills and also acquire the taste of other cultures. So I became cosmopolitan very early in my career. Even though initially I had wanted to become an academic, I realized that business was also equally fascinating, especially when you live in the West and you see that individuals have built huge corporations, employing large numbers of people, paying taxes, and helping their communities develop. So that is where I took my entrepreneurial interest from. Now, before I go in, I'd like you to know that, okay, I have a rare opportunity to live in the United States, but I work in Ghana. So I do a long distance commute. My family is based in the States, but all my investments, about 90% of them are in Ghana. And I also serve on a few boards. So I'd like you to know that in addition to the panoply of organizations which Honorable Yofi and his colleagues have said, there's also the National Investment Bank. Nobody has made mention of it. I'm a non-executive director. We are trying to rework the bank to go back to its original mandate of becoming a development bank. So local businesses and international businesses that are eager to work in Ghana, NIB is one bank that we would like to cultivate your business. So I'll be willing and able to have a discussion with you about the bank and its plans for the future. Now, coming back to myself, actually, my company is not ENO, but even though that's how it is, it's ENO. It means opportunities never end. I chose that because when in 1989, I was in second year in business school, at the Wharton Business School. That is when the Berlin Wall fell. And I knew instinctively that this idea about state-controlled economies in Africa, this idea was going to die a natural death because the Africans had, after the Second World War, become independent, and the attraction by the state to try to accelerate economic development had revolved around the state controlling everything, including in Ghana we have what we call Workers' Brigade. Even though cocoa had emerged as the leading cash crop of our country, cocoa had made Ghana a trading partner to the World International Trading System. And 90% of the people who were the producers were peasants. Most of them did not travel more than 10 miles outside where they lived. And Ghana had emerged as the world's leading producer of cocoa. Then when all these educated people came, they decided to sort of socialize the process and take a lot of the farmers' money to development for the country, which was very good. But they made the farmers very poor. So over time, our levels of cocoa production started going down, and now Ivory Coast is far ahead of us. So I, in 1989, realized that there was a great deal of opportunity to look back to Ghana, even though I needed to pay off my $70,000 loan at Wharton. As soon as I finished paying, I told myself, home would be the way to go. And also, if you wanted to, long before the mobile phone came into the scene, you needed a physical brick and mortar offices. In the US, it's about $4,000, $5,000 a month. And I was going to start my business with about only $25,000 after having raided my pension fund. So it would have given me only 6 months of rent without being able to have anything to do. So I needed to use my bedroom as my office and to talk to a few guys to put monies together, which is something that we Africans were used to doing. It's called susu in Ghana. You don't need to necessarily be out there trying to invest. Not everybody has the spirit for risk-taking. So if you put your monies together, as I did, I asked some friends who trusted me. Integrity is very important. Honesty is the essential thing that you need to be an entrepreneur. And also having empathy for the country where you're coming from, because it's a developing environment. Anger is not a business policy nor government corporate policy. If you do that, you can't do very well. Anyway, so the gist of it is that I just realized that wherever I turn, I could do very well with the 25,000 I started. I sort of exaggerated my ability to do financing for Ghana Airways Corporation when they were about to set up their office in Ghana, in JFK. They had sent this lady to New York. She had no money except that she was staying with her brother who was a doctor. She called me and said, Roland, you claim you can do financing for me. I've been asked to set up our operation from JFK to Accra, and I have no money. I said, oh, that's not a problem. I just went to Macy's, called Macy's credit card and charged $40,000 worth of goods for everything that she needed. And they immediately gave me $1 million contract. So I realized that just having the courage of conviction, because it's opportunity, opportunity, opportunity if you think very hard about a developing country. There's nothing wrong about developing. This is about the best of times to live as an African in human history, recorded history, because we have become part of the network of Committee of Nations where you see development all over the place. And we have more educated people, this is my conjecture, per capita than Great Britain at the height of its imperial power, because that was an aristocracy governed by few people, but they did great things and they control about 2/3 of the world. Now you go to Ghana, we have a lot of well-educated people. It's just a matter of getting organized. People ask for government guarantee. The best guarantee is the rule of law. We have a constitutional grant says that. The best guarantee is having integrity, and you need more people doing that. And when the systems are transparent, you can't be wrong, whether you want to start a restaurant with 20,000, whether you want to invest in other people, because not everybody, you can be an owner without being a manager. It's a very major principle in finance. So I support small companies that are beginning. That's why it is most risky, but that's my natural inclination. Right. And so some fail, some do well, some don't do very well. And in the end, on the balance, that 20,000 I started with has done very well.
Okay.
I'm an investor in an investor bank, a fintech. I have a cocoa farm. And I have other people. Most of the times I don't have money because all the money I invest, I can't get enough of it. Yeah.
Yes. By the time Roland finishes, I have no questions to ask. Thank you, Roland. Alex, coming back to you. So you're on the board of GIPC. But more importantly, I think, first of all, I need to commend him for being organizing this and also organizing the homecoming. Fantastic achievement. But I think my question for you is, why do you do it? And why do you think it's important to do this for Ghana?
Good question, Peter. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for honoring our invitation. I think we've had a very good summit the last 2 days. To come back to your question, I have been part of His Excellency's team before he got into government. I have been part of the campaign team and that. So with these things, it's always expected that you get into government with an executive position. But I made it very clear what I wanted to give. I'm a private sector person, and I wanted to remain a private sector person and help with the initiatives to bring private sector people on. One of the examples is that some of the companies involved in this, I sit on their board. For example, Ecom, I'm part of Ecom. You can see Berends there, I'm part of Berends. I have quite a lot of interest. Also, before I got into all these, I have been in trade finance here in the UK for quite a while. For the last 25 years, we've been helping Ghanaian businesses. When there wasn't any finance to access, businesses from Ghana used to come to people like myself because we had a trade finance company in the UK and a venture capitalist. So we used to help businesses and that. So I would like to believe that I know the Ghanaian market very well. Was traveling there about 4 times a year, dealing with a lot of customers, right from GNTC. In those days, we were financing them and that. So I made a decision that if I wasn't going to help government in an executive position, then what do I do? So I decided then that I'll use my expertise to bring investors in, to bring the diasporans and investors together. And that is why I got into the homecoming summit. I was asked by His Excellency the President to mobilize the diasporans. We put together a committee. And the question that was asked was, this happened in 2000 and nothing came out of it. So what are you going to do? We're going to have the same summit, and what's going to come out of it? I think we tried to convince a lot of people, and we were successful in doing that. And we also promised them that after that there will be a follow-up. I think we've done well in following it up. And also with this one, spoke to the High Commissioner and the President during the Commonwealth Summit time and said, look, we want to do something like this, and I agreed with it. But one thing that always came with this was that it was made very clear to me and the team that there wasn't going to be any money involved, that you got to find your own money to finance.
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Yes, you got to find your own money to finance it. So for people like myself and my team who have friends in the corporate world, we leverage our relationship with the corporate world to get the financing both for the homecoming summit and for this. And that is the power of the diasporan. The diasporan has a lot of contacts. Most of the guys we work with in the diasporan summit, the government never put a penny into that. And we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars there. And so have we here. And I'm glad to say government has put no money in this. GIPC has led it from the Ghana point. The Ghana High Commission has done its bit, but it has been financed or funded by private and their diasporans. And also to make it very clear that everyone involved in it has done that on a voluntary basis. There's no allowances for anyone or traveling or anything. Bernard and Co. done extremely well, sometimes using their own money. But I wanted to prove that the diaspora movement can fund some of these things to help government. So that's mainly the reason why we do this, and we'll continue to push the case for diaspora investment into Ghana.
Nadia, so here's the scenario. I want to go to Ghana because the diaspora says homecoming, and I saw on it saying we should all go back to Ghana. But here's my worry. When I go to Ghana, the president says come to Ghana, and it's only 8 years. But I'm not only going to Ghana for 8 years. I'm going to Ghana for a long time. So how do I ensure that, what do we need, what advice will you give to people to think more longer term beyond just the MPP power? Because the MPP is saying, come to Ghana, but, we avoid another doomsday or anything like that. What advice will you give to people?
So let me first of all say, the president is not saying we should all come to Ghana.
Okay, good.
The president is saying diasporans with the expertise and knowledge start looking back and bringing your network, your contacts to come to Ghana. Okay. And if you decide you want to come to Ghana, I'll use one simple scenario is airport school. So he was in UK, decided to come to Ghana in 1995. The school did not succeed till 2002, but it's now one of the best schools in Ghana. So when you are coming to Ghana, we are coming to Ghana with the mindset that I am coming to stay and that I'm going to go through everything to make it work. And I'll give you Slick Garment, for example. If you are in UK and you have a network of fashion industry and you've come to Ghana, I'm sure with that network that you have in UK, you are able to find a company like Slick Garment to be able to liberate that network back to Ghana. I'll use one example is when I went to Canada, it was minus 20 degrees. But because at the time I was going to Canada, I knew that that was the new home that I have chose and that everything that I'm going there for is what I'm going to make sure I enjoy it. And when you are coming to Ghana, please let's have the mindset that things might not be smooth throughout the way, but with what you are coming to do and with the support of the Diaspora Affairs Office, to help to make sure that all the positive networks and contacts that you need to be able to succeed in what you are coming to do is there to work with you, is the encouragement that we are giving people. We are also saying look back. You won't have to physically move back, but you can also look at the opportunities that you'll be able to bring back to Ghana by staying away and still doing something. I'll give you one example with the Homecoming Summit that we had last year. Einstein, who did the presentation today, and Arnold, who is Future of Ghana from UK. Einstein was coming from US, Arnold was coming from UK. They met at the Homecoming Summit. And last couple of months ago, they were in Ghana to give us one of the best tech summits, and something that they've decided to do for 5 years, with support funding to be able to do it. But that's the network that we are saying, that to be able to open and give an access for diasporans to network and be able to bring the resources back to Ghana.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. And just so you know, before I'm going to ask questions at the moment, but to your point, if you look at sub-Saharan Africa itself, I was looking at some of the stats from the World Bank. We remitted about, in 2017, remittances to sub-Saharan Africa was about 38 billion. Ghana's contribution of that was 2.2 billion, right? I mean, there's more that we can do because if you look at Ghana and Senegal, probably joined second on 2.2 billion, but Nigeria was 21.9 billion of their thing. Sorry?
As official, Ghana unofficial is 5 billion.
Yeah, but unofficial.
About 5 billion.
But unofficial is about 5 billion. But when you look at the official figures, it's about 2.2 billion. But yeah, clearly there's no unofficial. But then if you look at the Nigerian as well, unofficial is probably higher. So on a life-for-life basis, that's what you're looking at. So there's more that can be done in that space. So, but I think on a relative basis, what my point is, there's more that can be done in that space. And I'm sure it all sits in this room as well. So with that, I'm just going to ask from the audience as well, if any questions you have. So first of all, the gentleman in front. Yeah.
Nadia, I know you're thinking of having a year of return next year. Can you explain to us exactly what it involves, who are expected to attend, and is it open to all blacks all over the world, or some blacks all over the world? Thank you.
Yes, please.
Okay, so next year is actually also next year marks 400 years of slave trade,
Yep.
which is very something that Ghana, through the Ghana Tourism Authority and the Diaspora Affairs Office, have a committee working on a year of return activities. The president did a launch in DC last month, asking our distant diasporans that went out through the transatlantic slave trade to come back to Ghana, and that Ghana is open for them to come back. That is an activity that is a whole year plan that will be every month. There will be particular, let's say February, we have Black History Month. We'll look into other activities that we'll be able to collaborate, that we have April. So it's a whole year activity. However, we also go back to July, which is the Ghanaians Living Abroad Homecoming Summit, which is just something that we did last year. And there's a committee that we are about to announce once I get back to Ghana, putting in place to be able to plan just like we did for last year. And again, that is also an opportunity for networking, just like we did for last year. And then the year of return is also to give our brothers and sisters that were forcefully taken away that Ghana is open for them to come back and that they can call Ghana a home.
This question by the lady.
Idea is a good one, but you do not need Ghana government to set up a policy, okay? When Bill Gates left Harvard at the age of 20 to set up Microsoft, there was no guarantee for him that he would be successful. He left, okay? We need to reorient our minds away from government and say that we have a constitution that gives us a fair playing field. If a group of you is interested in setting up, say, a trust fund to do investments in projects in Ghana, take advantage of that because there's knowledge is there. Approach an investment banker, Peter, and find out how do we set up a scheme to be able to do investments in Ghana, because not everybody is naturally trained to. Some of us become doctors or engineers. Some people are even managers, but they are not risk takers. Someone like, I'll take the risk because that's my natural inclination. So you do not need government. No, the government have to have policy. Sometimes government policies actually trail advances in society. A lot of the issues that you see, I live in the United States, a lot of the laws, they come after the fact. Okay, nobody could have predicted, say, the internet. It wasn't, yes, the US defense had a program, okay, but the internet as a commercial vehicle is a private initiative. So let us as Africans stop thinking about, you need to see a minister, you need to see a government. Government must do this. The governments are individuals who are our representatives, and they are there for a very short period of time. If you are determined and you put your resources together, either you as the entrepreneur, be honest with your investors, do the right thing, and always knowing that you take risks, you give, sometimes you get rewards, sometimes you are staying, even. The Ghana government is overtaxed. We expect too much from the government. It's too much, and I think sometimes we, the civilians, we're not even fair to the politicians. And the politicians also give a certain exaggerated view of the future, okay? But we need to come down to earth and see that it is the individual that is important.
Okay. All right. I think this question is very important, so I'm just going to get all the panel to provide their comments as well. So let me start with Nadia as well.
Okay, so I'll talk on the government side. Yes, the office is mandated to have a database of all Ghanaians in the diaspora. And with all Ghanaians in the diaspora, also on the skill set. We are now in the process of taking applications. People are doing presentations to the office on a profile for us to adopt and then to it has to go through a whole process before it's been accepted to come out. We also have to be careful of our database being used. But at the moment, most of the embassies, the high commissioners and the consulates have diaspora desk staff who are actually taking upon themselves, talking to various Ghanaians associations, churches and mosques to get information on Ghanaians who are voluntarily willing to register. You have to also remember that most of our Ghanaians, when you approach them, they don't want to register. They tell you, why do you want my information? You'll give it to a US government or you give it to a UK government. But we are saying that no, the government wants to have a skill base of Ghanaians that when we need a situation where the Minister of Health approach the Diaspora Affairs Office and say, can you look into your database? Are we looking for particular doctors in this area? Are you able to provide us that? Those are where we are looking into. And yes, the government is looking into something like that.
Thank you.
I think there are a couple of facts that I have to give you through experience. There are levels of diaspora involvement that you expect in Ghana. There are, what I say, they're global sort of players like the Roland, like the Peters of this world. They don't need any government help. Government needs them. So that's sort of high-level diaspora who goes in. Peter, for example, organized a summit for a roundtable meeting. There are those sort of levels of diaspora. Then there is the professional diaspora. I think Rahul sat here yesterday, and through my experience, right, companies like Ecom, companies like Cargill, the multinationals will prefer employing diasporans for the simple reason that the culture of these companies are aligned to the thinking of the Ghanaian diaspora. So when you look at these things, right, you have a very wide pool of companies like that seeking to employ. So you have to look at that area. The government only employs a small part of the population. Then you have also what I call the small, medium-sized entrepreneur who goes in. His interest is like how to get things cleared and a bit of government intervention and that. So those are areas that we have to look at. And one other truth is that you expect, as a diaspora, a lot more from your colleagues back home. It doesn't happen because you are competing with them. It's as simple as that, right? There are a few that would help you, but if you are competing with someone for a job, why should they try and help you? So you have to help yourself. So that is, from my experience, the simple truth about going and expecting a lot more from your colleagues that you've left back home. I know we say we bring in the different ways of doing things and complement them, but a lot of them are not interested in that, right? Some of them have even been diasporans who have left here and been quite comfortable there, I'll probably be, I hope not be speaking a different language when you meet me in 10 years' time. Probably not for the diaspora movement, but for someone who has been there. So that's a simple truth.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And Frederick?
I think I support the gentleman's point. Myself, I think my personal example best explains what he said. In 2008, after reading my master's here, I just sat down and realized that I've got enough skills. But the journey to Ghana, you need faith from heaven just to do it. And I'd always wanted to save 10,000 pounds, but that money would never come. So I picked my bag, took my certificates, and went to Ghana with 100 pounds. Now when I got there, I joined GT Bank. And from GT Bank, I joined GN Bank, which used to be called First National, and rose through the ranks. And I just realized that I was just wasting my time here. And before I came here, I was managing 79 bank branches. Now, the issue is this, that you need that faith. And I think that you have to take that step. There's a lot of opportunities in Ghana. And I believe that those who want to take that little risk will really... I made more money in Ghana than even working here. But I just got blown back again to set up businesses for the group. So I will encourage people to go back to Ghana. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a matter of establishing confidence levels, okay? As a child living in Kumasi, most of the people who raised us had never been to school. We have to go to school and compete with kids whose parents were ambassadors and doctors and nurse engineers. I just had to work as twice or three times as hard to be able to catch up, okay? Now, if you can go to Germany where you don't speak the language and you are very confident that you can survive there, your own country, you cannot go there and say you'll be surviving. My friend, what are you talking about? That's, you see, the Apostle Paul used to tell the new church that they should renew their ways, okay?
Roland, there's a hand up.
Okay, sure.
Questions there?
We are even happy to hear that when you go to Ghana, you have a place to go. When I went to Ghana, nothing like that. I have to sell my clothes to take care of my children. But now, I'm a contractor. You have 2 companies. And even now, I am the national president of one of the contractors associations in Ghana.
Ooh.
I have never heard of NIB, as Mr. Kusan said. NIB is contractors' friend. Every bank is running away from contractors, except NIB. Nobody talk about construction in Ghana, but before you go to Ghana, the manufacturers, the investors, you have to look for a good road. And because our minister wasn't here, I haven't heard anything concerning roads. Everybody is using V8. Why? Because of bad roads in Ghana. So I'm pleading to the investors to come as partners of road construction to help us build the roads of Ghana. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think investors, you've heard that one. Okay, question there.
The diaspora is here to stay. Irrespective of how prosperous Ghana becomes, there will always be a diaspora. No doubt, we will always be remitting because we love Ghana. We're very passionate about Ghana's development, no matter how rich we get here. Now, my concern on the back of what Roland said was in terms of government. For example, we've come here, lovely, fantastic job you've done that day, but I have this little point to make. We didn't even have wache. We could have invested in a Ghanaian restaurant to provide us a little bit. Because if we engage the Ghanaian business community, they will get richer and they will pass on their riches to our country. I'm a lawyer in practice. Very little I see of Ghanaian business. My point is, if we engage with us, we get richer, and when you're a richer professional, you get more clients naturally because they know you are doing well. And so I believe that we need to engage with some lateral thinking and begin to see how we can engage the diaspora community here. We can do some internships for them. We can finance them. And they, and once they gain serious skills here, they become more beneficial to the country.
My question is that what plans has the government got to help SMEs like myself that are based in the UK? I've got a couple of experience recently where I've bid for contracts via the Department for International Trade's website, the UK Department for International Trade's website. I've obviously, gone or sent someone to pay and pick up the tender documents, only to be told that, listen, these contracts have been awarded already, you're wasting your money. I'm sure I'm probably not the only one in the room that has gone through that experience. So my question to you today is that what help can you give the likes of me?
We have diaspora desk staff throughout the missions. And once
in the UK?
In UK, yes. There's a lady here, Joyce. There's Joyce. And okay, she's over there. So she'll be your first main contact in UK since the business is based in UK. And then we'll have to look at a policy with through GIPC and if there's something that can be accommodated to you. Just like we had the African Bank and all other banks that are available in UK providing services to Ghanaians. The fact that you are Ghanaian, I'm sure there's something that can be worked around it.
And can I just
do you have to be a Ghanaian?
Excuse me, hold on one second.
No.
Given that Yofi is here, who's the CEO of GIPC, Yofi, I would like you to address this question.
The High Commission is there when you need assistance for things in Ghana. They are your first port of call. Before you, especially if you are operating from here, there's a trade office run by Kofi Addo who gives support to people like you. And we are not by any stretch saying that we will not accept business from here into Ghana. It's to our advantage. I can assure you that this government is looking for growth. Anybody who can bring the growth, we will accept the person, but on competitive grounds as well. Open tender, transparency will rule.
Thank you.
It's an idea, which I think is a very good one, okay? I'm not a member of government, but you realize that at individual level, you say, traditionally, you say that if you take a broomlet, it's very easy to break. But if you take the entire broom, it is very hard. If you count the number of people here, assuming we could all be on the same page, and there's an entrepreneur among us who like to do a business, and everybody contributes £100, it is worth much more than each one of us trying to use the £100 on his or her own, okay? That's the whole notion of a trust. So you have shares in that trust, and then as a lump sum, you have fund managers. He's a managing director of one of the most prestigious banks in the world. Yofi was a former investment banker. There are several investment vehicles in Ghana that you can invest in as a group, and you do very well. I think it could even be a basis of part of the sovereign, national sovereign fund that, the sovereign wealth fund that Ghana, I think, sorely needs to be able to move forward. So even that, it could be you as an individual beginning and setting a cluster of friends and colleagues to put the money together and register as an investment trust. It doesn't have to, you see, one of the things that our politicians are doing, and it's putting a lot of pressure on them, is that everything they say is government. But I mean, we are 30 million people, and I don't think the government is more than 2% of the population. Okay? So the government also needs revenues from us. It doesn't collect enough revenues to be able to do the expenditures. Everybody who gets up to talk says government. How about you? Most of Ghana was built by people, most of whom did not travel more than 20 miles in their lifetime. And if you want to challenge me, go to Cape Coast in the 19th century. All the schools that you see there, whether it's in Fanspim or Disadel or Wesley, were done by parishioners and missionaries, some of whom never traveled more than 10 miles in their lifetime. So you have come all the way to England, I've gone all the way to the United States of America, and I want Ghana government to be able to help me set up a business. What you need is that the rules of the game must be transparent. Rule of law, respect for property rights, contracts are honored, the legal systems are in place. Take the courage of your conviction. Don't say that you need to have faith to go back to your own country. If you have faith to go to Russia or Germany or to go to some place whose language you can't speak, how about your own country? You know, to say that it's a betrayal of your own self-confidence. Say that this is where I was born. You don't choose the times in which you were born. You take the challenges of your time because you only live once. You know, Hannibal, the great ancient guy who defeated the Roman army, he said there's only one life you all have to do. And all you have to do is devote your time to causes for which you can feel proud if you are lucky to see the end of your life. Okay? Just paraphrasing him. Okay. We Africans are very, very capable, but the idea of thinking that there's some central authority who can orchestrate everything for us is part of the roadblock that we face. And we must try to take that roadblock for it. And if you take out the roadblock, everything you see in Ghana, because it's a developing country, it's an opportunity set. And if you can have an open mind and you're very optimistic, you pull your resources together, there's nothing that you can do, whether it's an establishment of a kindergarten or a university, or you want to set up a factory, or you want to be part of the technology boom that is taking place where all you need is your mobile phone, then you see that you will not have enough time in which God will give you 200 years to live to be able to do these things.
From where we stand, ours is only in financial instruments. So if you were looking towards investing in short-term fixed income securities, or you wanted to invest on the Ghana Stock Exchange, or you probably wanted to invest your money in any form of financial instrument, we are available to provide that information. But as regards Ghana, I mean, a company in Ghana, I think I'll leave it to the gentleman in the middle to answer that one.
I think that there are various ways of investing in Ghana. There are the financial instruments as well. I normally specialize in more investment into corporate bodies, joint ventures. Say you have a small project that you want to invest in, want to form a joint venture with another company. We can help on that. Yofi is there as well. He also he's got more expertise in financial products and that sort of thing. So you are welcome to GIPC. We are there to help. And I must add that we are in the process of reviewing the GIPC Act. I know that the diasporans want to make a contribution to that. I represent the diasporans on the board of GIPC. Within the next month, we will be meeting. The World Bank is facilitating that, and we intend to present that to Parliament within the next couple of months. So if you have any views, you can send them to me or send them straight to GIPC. I'll get them to represent your views. I don't think the act will be reviewed for another 5-6 years. There are a lot of things, including areas reserved for Ghanaians, diaspora investments and all that. Send your views to me and let's see what we can do with the power of the diaspora.
Okay, I'm going to take. Sorry. Hold on.
Let me say something.
No.
She was asking whether young people are allowed. Isn't that a question? Yeah. Oh yes. That's the thrust of a question. Okay. If you come, can I make a point?
Wait. Can I, Roland? If it's going to be 20 seconds, then cover.
Yeah. Oh no. What I'm trying to say is that if you come to Ghana, okay, yeah, you see a lot of young people on the roadside hawking all kinds of goods. This is not to mock them, okay? Young people can set up their own businesses. That's the assurance I want to give you. All you have to have is have courage of your conviction. And if you need information, there's a registrar general, you can do your registration, that sort of thing. Nobody can take you for granted if you have a good idea. Okay? It's as simple as that.
Thank you. Nadia?
So just so you know, we have a youth ambassador at the presidency, at the Diaspora Affairs Office, whose mandate is to connect with our second generations, which is someone like you, so that when you come to Ghana with ideas and prospects of what you want to do, he's able to help you to get you to the right, office that will be able to assist you, so you don't feel like you are a child and you are not being listened to. There's a youth ambassador at the presidency whose job is to make sure that people like you are being taken care of.
With regards to the trust fund, if you can let us know if the diasporans will be involved in decision making. Also, in case there's a change of government, is it here to stay? Do we have a point of contact? Or is it there's going to be a vacuum where change of government will say this was with the previous government, so we don't know what's going to happen?
With the trust fund, it's something that earlier on, if you could hear, I say suggestions that are coming to the office, which we think is something that we need to look into. And before we even do anything, as you can see from our previous programs we've done, we always make sure that it's the diasporans that are sitting around the table to make those decisions. So with the trust fund, it will not be different from that. And it will be diasporans that will be making the decisions. And then with the office or the trust fund, we make sure that as we are in government, we are able to put up legal protection so that after how many years of not in government, something that was set up by diasporans that is working very well for the country will not be thrown out.